TEDxCabarete, Dominican Republic.
Before we dive in, I would like to ask all of you a question. How many of you has ever felt supported by a community, especially when going through a challenging time? And this could really be anyone. It could be your spouse, it could be the friend, a stranger. Cool. Now, if you had to describe in one word, how did this moment make you feel? What would that word be? Cared for. Safe. Supported. Cool. So as you can see, as you can witness, everybody here and everybody in the world has a need for connection and community. And usually, through connection and community, a purpose arises. It happens to be that for me, I was able to find both of these things in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, or as people like to call it, Jiu Jitsu. Now, the whole idea of purpose and community is something that it didn't really used to be so foreigner to us, because we used to live in tribes. And when we used to live in tribes, we would come into communities from the moment we were born. I know who I am because I know who I belong to. I know what I have to do because I know my role. And my role is simply what I'm told to do that has been passed down through generations. It was pretty easy back then. Nowadays, the whole idea of purpose, when we listen to the word, we think of the purpose of our lives. And that is something that is really difficult to find. So, when I'm talking about purpose, I'm talking about the actual meaning of the word. See, purpose comes from the Latin propositum, which simply means to put forth. So to put forth or to place forth an idea, a thought, an intention, a goal. So it could really be anything, and it could really be anywhere. It could be in a place, your purpose in a place, your purpose inside of a role, your purpose in a community. For example, my purpose here today is to share with all of you how anyone in the world, no matter your background, the color of your skin, your age, your gender, your finances, anyone can achieve personal development simply by accessing a community and a purpose within it. So let's dive in. It's funny that this is my subject for today because I remember as we were getting ready for this talk, all of the speakers that did an amazing job and all of the coaches that also did an amazing job, we would have rehearsals. So we would meet once in a while and expose our talk and expose our ideas as well. I remember there was this time I was in a competition, actually taking a student of mine in the United States. And I joined the Zoom call for one of the rehearsals. And the whole objective of the rehearsal was that you were supposed to introduce the first 15 seconds of your talk. That's what they said. And soon enough, I started realizing after the first person scope, second, third, everybody's doing 2, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, that's a lot more than 15 seconds. I guess we'll push through. My turn comes in. When my turn comes, I'm the last one or second to last. And something that never happened to me before happened. I completely froze. I had nothing to say. I had nowhere to go. And not only did I froze, but I broke in tears. I shut down my stream. I walk away and I start wondering to myself, is this really for me? Public speaking, what? Can I really pull this off? Not a minute passed from that part. And every speaker and every coach started sending me messages, supporting. Some of them said that emotion that I was feeling, I should actually lean into it instead of walking away from it because it's good, it's positive. Some of them showed me how they were there for me. Some of them even took time out of their busy schedule to schedule meetings with me just to hear from me. So they weren't only just saying this, they were actually showing up. So that's the funny part, how my topic for today is actually what led me to be here with you. Now, in this Zoom call, where everything stopped and I broke in tears, the reason why I broke in tears was not because I was feeling stressed or pressured or nervous. Those things were there, but that wasn't the reason. The reason was what I'm about to share with all of you today. December of 2024, 2 days before my 28th birthday, my mom passed away. And the same as for many people out there. As a single mom, she was not only my mom, but she was my mom and my dad. So if you can picture before your 30s, losing both of your parents, it was pretty devastating. It left me feeling sad, with a heavy chest, and heartbroken. Now, even though I was going through all of this, I was able to see some lessons. The whole cliche of when we go through hard times, we realize and grow more, it's true. I was able to learn things like you never get to spend enough time with your parents. Things like never hang up the phone while you're upset at your parents, or never go to bed while you're upset at your parents, because hopefully they're gonna go before you, because the other way around is a lot more traumatizing. Now, there was one lesson out of all of this that stood out because it really surprised me. And that was the lesson of what a community can do for you and what the community did for me. Besides the tremendous amount of support I received from my close friends, I also have a jiu-jitsu school. And in this jiu-jitsu school, there's people from all kinds of backgrounds. There's kids, there's teenagers, there's older people. Now, the big goal and the big objective with the school is to empower young men and women from underprivileged backgrounds through teaching them discipline, through teaching them many different things with the sport. Because of this, I had to show up every day, Monday through Friday. We usually have classes. I had to show up and be there for them. They were expecting for their coach to be there and teach them. And even though my chest was feeling heavy, even though I was sad, what can I do? There's a huge group of people waiting for me. I gotta be there. I better be there. So I would get up and I would go and teach, even though I was feeling the way I was feeling. Now, soon enough, I started realizing how fulfilled I was feeling just by teaching. Just by seeing my students' progress, just by listening to them saying things like, "Thank you, coach." All of these things made me feel so fulfilled. And this fulfillment is what carried me and held me through the most difficult time of my life. Now, it's also ironic how I joined the community, because my first introduction and exposure to jiu-jitsu was by my mom. My mom was the receptionist at the first jiu-jitsu gym in the whole Dominican Republic. And I remember me with 4 or 5 years old, I would be in there rolling around the mats, jumping around. There was not even kids class back then, so I would just be in there. Now, fast over 10, 12 years, I was hanging out with one of my cousins that I used to hang out with all the time, that is. And he was sort of my father figure. So we would spend a lot of time together. If he goes to jiu-jitsu, I go to jiu-jitsu. But I would never join the classes. I would always sit outside and watch through the glass what they're doing. And I remember very vividly just thinking to myself, I will never try this thing by that. It's funny, this is where we're at right now. I actually used to say as a kid that jiu-jitsu looks like dirty laundry, but with people inside of them. Yeah, I used to make fun of it. So it wasn't until one day that I went into the office of the owner of the gym, Giancarlo. And she's having a meeting with my cousin. They're talking, and in the midst of everything, at some point, she just locks eyes with me. He looks at me. There's a desk in between us. He puts his head over the desk, looks at my legs, looks at my chest, looks at my shoulders, and he asked me the same question that any male Dominican over 6 feet gets asked. Do you play baseball? I look back to him and I'm trying to look for an answer at something funny, and I'm like, yeah, in video games. He did not laugh. This is a very intimidating man. So he gets closer and he asks me, well, why don't you do jiu-jitsu? At this point, I'm just trying to look for an excuse. I don't know what to say. And I don't want to say that it looks weird. So I tell him, I don't have the money to pay for this. He gets even closer into my space, even a little more intimidation. And he tells me, you don't have to pay. We start tomorrow. I'm like, yay, okay. So the next day I'm there. Well, the next day, my cousin dragged me by my feet and put me in the ski. And I am so grateful that my cousin did that to me. And I am so grateful that Giancarlo was and is such of an intimidating man. Because thanks to them, today I have a vehicle in my life that allows me to be useful for my community. Now, when I started jiu-jitsu, as soon as I started, I fell in love with it. When you guys see jiu-jitsu, it looks really like very much like a martial arts, rightfully so, it is. Now, it's a lot more complex than what it looks. It's all about problem solving. There's some guys like Joe Rogan that says that jiu-jitsu is like human chess, right? You have to be a few steps ahead of the other person. And I love that about jiu-jitsu. It would tickle my brain. I also like the fact that I was getting more fit. I was getting stronger. I was getting more confident. So many different things. I was also learning to defend myself and to protect the people that I love, which is huge. Now, even though I love all of those things, there was one thing that made me stay. And that was the sense of camaraderie and community, which is something that I never experienced before in my life. Not in my family, not in my school, nowhere. What happened from that is that I learned about discipline. I learned about showing up. I learned about commitment. I learned about strength. I learned about perseverance. And I would go at it. I started getting somewhat decent at it. And soon enough, it started opening so many doors for me. I started traveling around the world. I could have never pictured that as a young man, as a teenager from El Barrio, San Carlos, in Santo Domingo. I started traveling around the world. My English got a lot better. I met so many amazing individuals because of it. I moved to Cabarete. So many positive things happened and so many doors were open for me. And the same way that all of those doors were open for me, today I'm dedicated to the teenagers, the young men and women from underserved backgrounds as well, to open those doors for them. So whatever you do, whether you like to play chess, sing, dance, surf, do jiu-jitsu, find a community that you resonate with. Find a purpose within it. And I assure you that you will not only have something that makes you feel happy and fulfilled, but you will have something that will carry you and hold you through the most challenging time. Thank you.
Thank you for believing in the power of ideas. TEDxCabarete, Dominican Republic.